Students, how are you? Today we are going to carry on explaining part 4 from the play The Tempest, okay? Now we are going to read pages 8, 9, and 10. Let's start. Okay, can you remember what happened in the last scene? When Prospero asked Ferdinand to do hard jobs. Why? To test his love for Miranda, okay? So he asked him to carry wood, heavy wood, okay? And as you know that Ferdinand was a prince, so he didn't used to do such hard jobs, okay? So Prospero told his daughter that he was going to do some work in his study and asked her not to talk to Ferdinand, okay? But Miranda went to Ferdinand and talked to him and disobeyed her father and asked him to help him, okay? She asked him to carry some wood for him. But Ferdinand, of course, refused, okay? And instead of helping Ferdinand, they started talking together, okay? And Ferdinand told Miranda that he fell in love with her at the first sight, okay? Now, let's say something, okay? Prospero, as I told you, told his daughter that he was going to his study, okay? But actually, he didn't go to his study. He hid himself and was listening to their conversation, okay? He was listening to their conversation. So, Prospero in this part بقى in this part Prospero only smiled at his first Prospero smiled at this first example of his daughter's disobedience. His daughter's disobedience means that his daughter disobeyed him, okay? Having by this magic art caused his daughter to fall in love so suddenly, he was not angry. He wasn't angry with that, but he was pleased, okay? That she showed her love by forgetting to obey his commands. So, Miranda, because she fell in love with Ferdinand, she forgot her father's commands. So, she disobeyed him. And he told her not to talk to Ferdinand, but she disobeyed him and talked to Ferdinand. But actually, Prospero was pleased for that. Okay? And he listened with pleasure to a long speech of Ferdinand's, in which he said he loved her more than any lady he had ever seen. In answer to his praise, what's the meaning of praise? Praise means sweet words that you can say to anyone. Math, okay? In answer to his praise of her beauty, which he said was greater than any other woman's in the world, she replied, I do not remember the face of any woman, nor have I seen any more men than you, my good friend, and my dear father. But, believe me, sir, I would not wish for any companion in the world except you, nor can my imagination form any shape that I could like more than yours. But, sir, I fear I'm talking to you too freely, and I'm forgetting my father's commands. So in this part, Miranda told Ferdinand that she loved him, okay? And she didn't want any companion, any other companion. Companion means friend, lover, okay? And so on. In the world except him, okay? And she told him that she disobeyed her father's commands, okay? By talking to him. At this, Prospero smiled to himself. As I told you, Prospero was listening to their conversation, okay? So he hid himself and he was listening to them, okay? And so he smiled to himself as much as to say, and said,
Haha, this is exactly as I wished. My girl will be Queen of Naples.
okay, my dear students, here we have a comment. Okay, Presbyterian said to himself, haha, this is going exactly as I wished. My girl will be Queen of Naples. Okay, so here we have a comment. Underline this comment with me, please. This is going exactly as I wished. My girl will be Queen of Naples. Okay, so who said these words to whom? Who can tell me? Yes, Prosper said these words to himself, exactly. So Prosper said these words to himself, okay, when he was listening to the conversation between Ferdinand and Miranda, okay, when he told her that he was going to his study because he had some work, but he hid himself and he listened to them, okay. So, what's the meaning of this comment? This is going exactly as I wished. My girl will be Queen of Naples. So, here, Prospero was pleased to see his daughter fall in love with Ferdinand and vice versa. Okay? Why? Why do you think? Here we have a question. Here we have a question. Why do you think Prospero was pleased to see that his daughter and Ferdinand had fallen in love? Who can tell me? Exactly, he said this. He said this. He said that if Miranda fell in love with Ferdinand and Ferdinand fell in love with Miranda, they would get married and Miranda would be the Queen of Naples because Ferdinand would be the King of Naples one day. Okay? So, let's go on. And then Ferdinand, in another fine long speech for young prince, speak in courtly language. This means that he talked in a polite way, okay? Told the sweet Miranda that he would be the next king of Naples, okay? And that she should be his queen. That's what Prospero wanted, okay? So here, the comment. This is going exactly as I wished. My girl will be Queen of Naples. Okay? This is the comment that we answered together. Right. Now, here, Ferdinand told Miranda that he would be the King of Naples. Okay? And that she should be his queen. Okay? What did Miranda say? Miranda said, "Ah, sir, I'm a fool to cry at what I'm glad of. I will be your wife if you wish to marry me." So here in this part, Miranda said to Ferdinand that she fell in love with him and she wanted to be his wife if he wanted that. Okay? But before Ferdinand could thank her, Prospero appeared before them and said,
Fear nothing, my child. I have heard and approve of all you have said. And Ferdinand, if I have used you too severely, I will pay you well by giving you my daughter. All your troubles were only tests of your love, and you have stood all the tests well. So take my daughter as my gift, which your true love has bought, and do not smile when I tell you she is above all praise.
so in this part, Prospero appeared in front of Ferdinand and Miranda, and he said, when Miranda saw him, she felt frightened or scared because she disobeyed him. But he said, "Fear nothing, my child. Don't fear anything, okay? I have heard and approve of all you have said." This means that I heard everything and I approve of that. I agree, okay? And Ferdinand, if I have used you too severely, if I treated you badly, I will pay you well by giving you my daughter. So, I'll give you my daughter as a gift, okay? All your troubles were only tests of your love. So the troubles that I put in front of you, they were only just a test for of your love to Miranda. And you have stood the test well. You passed all the tests well. So take my daughter as my gift, okay? Which your true love has bought. Your true love has bought. This means that you uh, could يعني could bear what I did with you, okay? And do not smile when I tell you she's above all praise. What the meaning of above all praise? Praise, as I told you before, the sweet words that anyone can say to someone else, okay? Yani this means that all the sweet words that you said to her, she's more than that, or she deserves more than that, okay? Then telling them that he had a business in another place, okay? So here we have question or comment. I'll be your wife if you wish to marry me, okay? So this is another comment. I'll be, I will, underline with me, I'll be your wife if you wish to marry me. So who said these words? First we are going to say the introduction. This extract is taken from a play entitled The Tempest by Shakespeare. These words were said by Miranda to Ferdinand. Yes, exactly. When Ferdinand told her that he fell in love with her and he would be the king of Naples, and if she could marry him, she would be the queen of Naples. So she accepted that, and she told him that she wanted to get married from him too, and she loved him too. Okay? And Prospero was listening to their conversation. Okay? Now let's move to the other part. He asked them to sit down and talk together until he returned. Okay, so he asked Ferdinand and Miranda to sit down and talk together until he returned. And this command Miranda seemed unlikely to disobey. يعني خلاص بقى يعني she couldn't disobey this order. Which order? That he wanted them to talk together. Okay? Okay, now let's move to the following scene. When Prospero left them, he called his spirit Errol, who quickly appeared before him. Before him means in front of him. Eager to tell him, eager means enthusiastic, متحمس, okay, to tell him what he had done with Prospero's brother and the king of Naples, okay? Errol said that, so here we have a question here in this part, okay? We have a question here. How did Errol make Antonio and the king of Naples feel sorry for what they had done before? Okay, let's see that. Underline with me. This is the answer. Okay, this is the answer. Errol said that he left them almost out of their senses with fear at the strange things he had caused. So he made a lot of things to make them feel regret. Okay, يحسسهم بالذنب, يجننهم. Okay, caused them to see and hear. So he made a lot of magic things to them in order to see and hear. Okay, when they were, what are these things بقى? What are the magic things that Errol made to them? When they were tired of wandering about means walking about, okay, walking on the island, and half dead for want of food. What the meaning of half dead for want of food? This means that they were very hungry. Yes, exactly. He had suddenly set a fine meal in front of them. So he made a fine meal in front of them. Okay? Yep, he made a fine meal. Of course, it was a magic meal in front of them. تمام. Okay. And then just as they were going to eat from this meal. What happened? He had appeared before them in the shape of a hungry monster with wings. So he made them a magic table, okay, that was full of food. And when they were about to eat, he changed this table into, yes, a hungry monster with wings, okay? And the meal had disappeared. Then, to their great surprise, this monster spoke to them. So, when he changed himself into a hungry monster, this monster talked to them and spoke to them, reminding them of their cruelty in driving Prospero from his own country. So the monster, when he changed himself into the shape of monster, he talked to Antonio and the king of Naples and reminded them of what they had done with Prospero, that they took his dukedom from him. Okay? And leaving him and his little daughter to die at sea. So, for this reason, they were now suffering these terrors. Okay, so they were afraid of all this. They were afraid of the monster, the magic table. Okay, and they were also afraid and regret what they had done with Prospero. Okay, so this is the answer of question number 4. How did Earl make Antonio and the king of Naples feel sorry for what they had done before? This is the answer of number 4. Okay, now let's go on. The king of Naples and Antonio, the false brother, were filled with sorrow. So they were filled with sorrow and sadness, okay, for the injustice they had done to Prospero, because they did bad things to Prospero. As I told you before, they took his dukedom, okay? And Errol told his master he was certain their guilt was sincere. Okay, what's the meaning of their guilt was sincere? This means that they were sad or they regret what they had done with Prospero, okay? And that he, though a spirit, could not help pitying them. This means that Errol, as a spirit, had pity on them, okay? Because he did a lot of things, magic things to them in order to feel regret, okay? So what did Prospero say to Errol? He said,
"Then bring them here, Errol." So, if you who are only a spirit feel for their grief, surely I, who am a human being like themselves, will have pity on them. Bring them quickly, my pretty Errol.
in this part, when Errol told Prospero that he had pity on them, so Prospero told him that if you, who are only spirit, feel for their grief, surely I, who am a human being like themselves, will have pity on them. Bring them quickly, my pretty Errol. So here in this part, Prospero felt or had pity on them, okay, and asked Earl to bring them to the place where they stayed. Okay, so here we have a comment. If you, who are only a spirit, feel for their grief, surely I, who am a human being like themselves, will have pity on them. Okay, so who said these words? Yes, Prospero said these words to Errol. Okay, when Errol told him what he had done with Prospero and the king of Naples, in order to feel ashamed of themselves and in order to regret what they had done with Prospero. Okay, and when Ariel told Prospero that, Ariel also told Prospero that he had pity on them, okay, because they became out of their senses, okay, because of what he had done with them. So Prospero asked Ariel to bring them on the place where they stayed, okay. Next, Ariel soon returned with the king, Antonio, and old Gonzalo. Can you remember Gonzalo? Yes, someone, the loyal lord who helped Prospero secretly, okay? They had followed him, trapped by the wild music he played in the air to lead them to his master's presence. So, Ariel made a magic sound. Why? To lead them to the place where Prospero stayed, okay? This Gonzalo was the same man who had so kindly provided Prospero with books and food when his evil brother had left him to die in an open boat at sea. Okay, as I told you, grief and terror had so didn't the sense of the three men. So this means that they felt so sorry for what they had done with Prospero. Okay? Next, that they did not know Prospero, that they did not know Prospero, he first made himself known to good old Gonzalo. Yep, actually they didn't know they didn't know Prospero, okay? But Prospero made himself known to good old Gonzalo, calling him his lifesaver. So he called Gonzalo lifesaver, okay? And then his brother and the king realized that he was the Prospero they had tried to kill. Antonio, with tears of sorrow and true shame, begged his brother's forgiveness. So here we have a question, okay? How did Antonio show his regret to his brother? Underline the answer with me. Underline. Antonio, with tears of sorrow and true shame, begged his brother's forgiveness. Okay? And what about the king? And the king said he too was sorry that he had helped Antonio to take his brother's place. Okay? Now what about Prospero? And Prospero forgave them. So at the end, Prospero forgave them for what they had done with him. And when, here we are going to stop here. This is the answer of question number 6. Okay? You write down number 6, the answer of question number 6. And when they promised to give back his title and property means things that he had, he owned, okay? When they promised him to give him back his title as the Duke of Milan and his property, what did Prospero say? Prospero said to the King of Naples, I have a gift for you too. And opening a door, Prospero showed him his son Ferdinand with Miranda. So, what did Prospero say to the King of Naples?
I have a gift for you.
Stop. What was Prospero's gift to the King of Naples? What do you think? Yes, exactly. As I told you before, King of Naples knew that his son had died, okay? And Ferdinand knew that his father had died. So the gift was that Prospero showed the King of Naples his son Ferdinand. He showed him that his son Ferdinand was still alive, okay? He showed him his son Ferdinand with Miranda. So here we have a question. What surprise did Prospero have to the King of Naples? Yes, exactly. He showed him his son Ferdinand, and because King of Naples thought that his son Ferdinand had died at sea. Okay? Okay. Now let's move to the other part. Nothing could have been greater than the joy of the father and the son at this unexpected meeting, since they each thought that the other had been drowned in the storm. يبقى each of them thought that the other died. Okay? What about Miranda? What did Miranda say when she saw all these men? And as I told you before, she had never seen a man except her father. Okay? Oh heavens! What lovely creatures these are! It must surely be a fine world that has such people in it. Okay? So, in this part, Miranda found that, or said that it was a fine world that had such fine men, like such fine creatures, as she called the men. Okay? The King of Naples was almost so surprised at the beauty of Miranda as his son, okay, had been. Who is this young woman? Who is this young woman? Said he. So who said this comment? Yes, exactly. Who's King of Naples said these words, okay? She must be the goddess that has parted us and has brought us together. So, the King of Naples, as his son Ferdinand, thought that Miranda was the goddess of the island, okay? As his son Ferdinand did before, okay? But what did Ferdinand say? No, sir, smiling to find his father had made the same mistake that he had made when he first saw Miranda. She's only a woman, but by God's goodness, she is mine. She's mine. This means that she would be my wife, okay? I chose her when I could not ask you, my father, for your permission, not knowing you were alive. She is the daughter of this Prospero, who is the Duke of Milan, of whose fame I have heard so much. Fame means that Prospero was famous. Okay, it's the noun from famous. Okay, heard so much. I have never seen him until now, but from him I have received a new life. He has made himself my second father by giving me his dear lady. So here, Ferdinand told his father that Miranda wasn't the goddess of this island, but she was just a woman. But she was the woman that he had chosen for himself to be his wife, okay? And told him that he thought that his father died, that's why he couldn't ask for his permission, okay? So here we have a question. What did the King of Naples think when he saw Miranda? Yes, he thought that she was the goddess of the island, the goddess that parted them and gathered them together. Okay? Here we have a comment. Who is this young woman? She must be the goddess that has parted us and brought us together. These words were said by the King of Naples to, yes, to Ferdinand, to Prospero, to Antonio, okay? He was talking about Miranda. He thought that she was the goddess of the island, as his son did before, okay? So let's go on. Then I must be her father. But oh, how strange it will sound when I ask my own child's forgiveness. So here the King of Naples asked for Miranda's forgiveness because she thought that she was goddess. Okay? And here Prospero, what did Prospero say? Yes, Prospero said, no more of that. Okay? So it is a comment. No more of that. Let us not remember our past troubles, since they have ended so happily. Okay? So who said these words? No more of that. Let us not remember our troubles since they so happily have ended. Prospero said these words to his brother Antonio and King of Naples when they felt regret for what they had done for him before, okay? And he forgave them and asked them not to remember any of these bad actions, okay? And live the present happily, okay? So the other comment here in this page. Who is, underline this comment, who is this woman? She must be the goddess that has parted us and has brought us together. Okay, so this is a comment. Okay, now let's move to your home assignment. Okay, now your home assignment. You are going to answer the following questions, okay, and write the answers in your copybook in order to be seen next time, inshallah, inside the classroom, okay? The first question, why do you think Prospero was pleased to see that his daughter and Ferdinand had fallen in love? Of course, because his daughter would be the Queen of Naples. Because Ferdinand, when she fell in love with Ferdinand and Ferdinand fell in love with her, they would get married and Ferdinand would be the King of Naples and she would be the Queen of Naples. Okay? Next, this is going on. This is going exactly as I wished. My girl will be the Queen of Naples. Who said these words? Prospero said these words to himself when he was listening to the conversation between Ferdinand and Miranda, when he heard that Ferdinand fell in love with Miranda and he wanted to marry her. Okay? I will be your wife if you wish to marry me. Comment. Miranda said these words to Ferdinand, okay? When he talked to her and told her that he loved her and wanted her to be his wife, okay? How did Earl make Antonio and the King of Naples feel sorry for what they had done before? As I told you, he made some magic tricks, okay? First, he made the magic table full of food, and when they were about to eat, he changed this table into a hungry monster, talking to them and remind them of what they had done to Prospero. Yes, to Prospero and his daughter when they took his dukedom. Next, if you, who are only a spirit, feel for their grief, surely I, who am a human being like themselves, will have pity on them. These words were said by Prospero to Errol when Errol told him what he had done with Antonio and King of Naples, and told him that he had pity on them. But Prospero told Errol that he also had pity on them and asked him to bring the King of Naples and Antonio to the place where Prospero stayed. Okay? How did Antonio show his regret to his brother? With tears, he asked for his brother's forgiveness. Okay? What surprise did Prospero have to the King of Naples? He showed him his son, Ferdinand, because King of Naples thought that his son died. Okay? So he showed him his son alive. Okay? Next. What did the King of Naples think when he saw Miranda? He thought that Miranda was the goddess of the island, like Ferdinand did before. Okay? Who is this young woman? She must be the goddess that had parted us and brought us together. These words were said by the King of Naples when he saw Miranda for the first time. He thought that she was the goddess of the island. The same mistake that Ferdinand did before, okay? No more of that. Let us not remember our past troubles, since they so happily have ended. So Prospero said these words to Antonio and the King of Naples when they felt sorry and regret what they had done to Prospero before, okay? And asked for Prospero's forgiveness. So he told them that he forgave them, okay? and ask them to forget all the troubles, the past troubles, okay? This is the part that we have explained, okay, part 4. So I'm gonna see the answers of these questions in your copybook next time. With my best wishes, Miss Wala Lashin. Bye bye.